From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Dylan, the Tennessee pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. Exciting news for us and hopefully for you as well, folks. If you are listening to this strange news program, the evening it publishes, it is August 4th. It is officially August. This is going to be crazy for us. You know, this is always a month that has a lot in store for the three of us.
Leo season.
Yay!
Rawr.
Shout out to all our Leonines in the crowd. I remember having a discussion of the word Leonine.
That's new to me.
Well, you know how we would say like someone is lionized? Mm-hmm. Leonine is... It's a complimentary word.
Having the qualities of a lion.
Right, yeah. And we wanted to celebrate our August recording here by, of course, starting with a heist, following up on our earlier excellent story about a con man involved in the world of sports memorabilia. Thank you for bringing that one to us, Matt. There is a new heist in the news, millions of dollars worth of Miami Heat memorabilia, including jerseys people wore at the finals, have been stolen and sold on the black market. They're real ones. It's real memorabilia.
So they say.
So they say. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to Yahoo Sports with some excellent reporting by journalist Shane Galvin. This may be the largest heist of sports collectibles ever. So
Holy
sorry,
cow.
OJ.
I was about to say, yeah. Dang, putting OJ to shame.
I know. But there we go. Please check it out in depth if you are so inclined.
I love that Yahoo's had such a second life as a news organization. You love to see it, you know?
You'll love to see it.
I do.
You'll love to see it. Yahoo has not gone missing. It is not hiding. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into some exciting and disturbing true crime across the world, particularly in the East Asian and South Asian sphere. We might hit on some darker stories. We are also going to look at some disturbing active investigations out in Los Angeles. Before we do any of that, you guys, let's say we take a break for a word from our sponsors.
Let's do it.
And we have returned. Everyone, I'd like to begin this part of our strange news program by playing a clip I think a lot of us in the crowd tonight will recognize.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
What can we do for our country?
Oh, good. I'm so glad you asked, Noel. That's a perfect setup. Thanks to you and former President JFK that we'll have a follow-up on later, by the way. Here's what you can do for your country. You can now Venmo the U.S. government to help pay off national debt. Have you ever...
Sorry.
That's what you could do for your country. Yeah.
Do they have like a Patreon or something? Is there a GoFundMe, campaign?
We've got right now, we want to make it easy for you to give us your hard-earned cash. Now, we're not going to give you anything back. It's going to be a gift. This went viral recently. The U.S. government does accept Venmo. Uncle Sam is not too good for PayPal, which also rolled out earlier. This has been met with a lot of hot takes, of course, because the national debt has skyrocketed. But honestly, it feels like it skyrockets more often than it declines, does it not?
Yeah, buy the government a coffee,
This is insane.
It really is.
This is absolutely
It's
insane.
satirical. It's satirical.
It's also not new. It is a true story. I had to dive in a little bit to make sure this wasn't an accidental Onion article. This idea dates back to 1961, HR 311. Not the band, but maybe the band's named after this. It's called an act to authorize the acceptance by government of gifts to be used to reduce the public debt. This law authorizes the Secretary of the Treasury to accept your money wherever you're from on behalf of the United States, so long as that money you are gifting with no strings attached is expressly used to reduce the national debt.
And we fully trust you, the government, to just use that money to reduce how many trillions now? 36?
36 trillion. Yeah.
Jeez.
Important question. Do we get to write this gift off on our taxes as charity?
That is a great question.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you be able to do that? If you could do that, then they would just tax you. Like,
Right.
and you're just paying your taxes then.
Doesn't that just beg the question, why would anybody do this ever?
Right,
And
right.
what is it even, like, how does it even make sense in any bizarre universe?
Especially in a governmental structure that absolutely bootlicks lobbying and bribery. Like, if you want bang for your buck, then you're going to touch a politician, or if you've got the scratch, you're going to super PAC it. The issue here...
Or buy a ticket to a fancy dinner. You know?
Right, sure. Right. Or go golfing, whatever. But the issue here is, again, this is simply a gift. And I think a lot of people who read past the headlines were as surprised as us to learn this has been a thing for decades. I'm not sure what the demographic they're looking for is, but we do know that the U.S. Treasury has just recently, as of like July, expanded the methods through which you yourself can give Uncle Sam some walking around pocket money.
It would be awesome if it was like donating to a local sheriff's department or something, where you get a sticker, and then when the shit when
friend of the
Fraternal Order of
policeman's
Police.
ball. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to pull you over, Dylan. I wasn't aware that it was you, and we want to let you go. Thank you for your contributions
Do you
to
give?
the police.
You gotta give.
To the
You gotta give.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dylan, for your contributions to the police ball. It's very Breaking Bad in the idea of those donations. Look, we know the money gets dirty so quick. If you go to Theo Berman writing for Newsweek just a few days back, we are recording on July 30th, Wednesday, 2025. You'll see that the United States national debt surpassed 34 trillion in 2024, just last year, and now somehow there's another 2 trillion added on to that.
Wasn't that from the BBB?
The big beautiful bill.
Right. That added some number for sure, despite the original claims.
We'd have to get under the hood to see exactly how the debt is calculated here, but we do want you to know, if you want to be part of the change, or part of the cash, you can donate, essentially. And it's weird. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that moment at the end of paying taxes where you're offered the option to contribute to a number of charities. Right? Remember, like, do you want to contribute to the presidential campaigns? Do you want to contribute to the following nonprofit organizations and so on?
Yeah, charities are a tax haven, right? I mean, that's sort of the point. That's not the point of charity, but the offer there is like, oh, maybe if I do this now, I will lower my tax burden. Like that's sort of what they're offering you, I guess.
Yeah. So we'd be interested to hear your thoughts, folks, on how this is calculated. First, national debt, that's an episode itself. Given how many politicians have said the debt doesn't matter or is not real when it suits them. We also want to hear whether you would just randomly hop on Venmo or PayPal and, throw a couple bucks to this hardworking government of ours.
Sorry.
Right.
I part of me gets it. Like, part of me says, well, yeah, I mean, if I had a little extra money, then I wouldn't mind contributing to that. But it is really it's a level of trust in that money would actually be allocated to that. And how much of a dent could the American public possibly put in that number? What was I saw something in the Newsweek article you shared, something about how much was offered by Americans in 2022. Do you have that number?
Yeah. And it's like one of those GoFundMe campaigns or Kickstarters that makes you sad when you look at it. In 2022, again, according to the reporting from our pal Theo Berman, Americans overall, with this amazing opportunity, contributed a total of $180,310.32.
0.0000000%.
But it's still amazing to me that much money was collected via this method.
I just don't trust it.
Hell no.
I feel like it's going to get slushed up so quick. To your earlier point there, guys, I feel like it'll be something that you can't really prove went to the national debt. Or how do we define going toward the national debt? What does that mean?
Yeah, this is going to help us craft a new bill that's going to relieve the national debt. That's what we're going to do.
Cool. Yeah. And to do that, part of this $180,000 is paying for some fancy dinners. It is flying us, but to golf courses that we have important conversations at.
Yeah.
Guys, this is for all of us.
That amount's going to pay for a fancy dinner for the high-level donors.
Well, I need a Fabergé egg right now to solve this stuff between Cambodia and Thailand, which is technically helping the national debt.
I'm not sure if we talked about this, y'all, but we certainly did initially. The Qatari Boeing 747 that was donated or whatever to the Air Force. Apparently, it's going to cost around $500 million to retrofit it. Yeah, and then after the term of the current president ends, he just kind of gets to keep it. Yeah, that's taxpayer money that goes to do that thing. And for that gift.
Yeah, and Hegseth has been revealed in recent news to have sort of been the liaison for that deal. Now, in full disclosure, folks, and I think we mentioned this previously, the Qatari government has been trying to get rid of that plane forever. It's inconveniently large. It doesn't work on every airstrip. So the idea of it being a visible bribe does have some validity, but also it's like a junker car in their front yard that they just had to get rid of. The part of the reason it's so expensive to quote unquote retrofit it is you essentially have to take the thing apart to make sure there's no spoopy-doop surveillance stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's not a great look.
This one bolt is kind of weird, guys. What do you think?
I don't know. It keeps whispering to me in the dark.
Gotta love it when that happens.
Apparently, there's a New York Times piece about this where they talk about a mysterious $934 million fund transfer from the Pentagon from one of their programs modernizing ground-based nuclear missiles. And there are some budget sleuths that seem to believe that this is meant for that refurbishing project.
And so perhaps that will be an episode in the future. With respect to everybody's time, I want to move to a darker story. And I was on the fence about whether or not we should report it, but I feel like we're ethically bound to do so. If you're listening with your kiddos or if you have certain sensitivities, folks, please fast forward about 5 to 8 minutes. This may not be the story for you. Quite recently, guys, I don't know if you saw the news, but 7 suspects, including 2 mothers and other relatives, have been arrested for running an absolutely brutal child sexual abuse ring. They were torturing kids with shock collars. They were forcing them into abusive situations. If we go to The Independent with some excellent work by Isabel Keene, published July 24th, 2025, we're going to see that there's an Alabama storm shelter where at least 10 children, some as young as 3 years old, were held captive and tortured, often by their own biological relations. Have you guys heard about this?
Purest of evil. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So if you go to Bibb County, you'll hear the Sheriff Jody Wade speaking during a press conference Wednesday and stating that so far, at least 10 victims have been identified. But when the sheriff said that, the sheriff also said that the number of victims and the number of arrests would likely increase. We don't know what's going on. I would like to share a quote from Sheriff Wade. It is the following. Quote, I have been in law enforcement for 33 years, and this is absolutely the most horrible thing I've ever seen when it comes to the victimization of children. I know God's forgiveness is boundless. Keep in mind, this is Alabama. But if there was a limit to it, I think we've reached it. So 2 of the assailants here were the biological mothers of the victims.
Yeah, not much I can say about that one. I mean, totally accurate that it needs to be. People need to know that this kind of evil exists in the world. I don't know what I can do about it. It really does. It's the kind of thing that makes you feel a little hopeless.
Right. It's also the kind of thing, to add to that, that makes me wonder how many other situations like this are out there.
That's why. That's what I mean. Like, that's where your mind goes.
Right. And the news is focused on the Epstein scandal, rightly so, but how many other things like this are happening below the radar, right? And not being reported as widely, possibly because there's not a political calculation involved. It's just the good guys against the evil guys.
Well, these people aren't rich either. I mean, yeah. I mean, I know that's what you mean. Look at the picture. This is like, I'm not trying to demonize any particular segment of any population, but I mean, these are definitely low income, white people.
And they all live very closely together in a small town, which is called Brent, Alabama. They will be arraigned in August. The investigation is ongoing, and I know that is such an unclean thing. It's just I'm bringing this because I feel like it shows us how easily these other things can go under the radar because people considered powerful or wealthy are not involved.
Do you think that Maxwell's going to get pardoned?
It's an open question right now, like what was in the box, not to quote Seven, but the box Ghislaine Maxwell walked away with.
So then it's about her leverage. It's not about what's right.
There are ongoing conversations about, she got denied immunity for testifying to Congress. Still, it will be worth the testimony if only that it gives lawmakers the ability to ask a question such that Maxwell would have to plead the fifth. It's terrible spaghetti all around. It's a messy, messy bowl. We also,
I guess I just mean, like, with stories like this and the things that we know that Epstein did, it does start to feel like at a certain level it isn't about what's right. It's and it's maybe a time where there needs to be some kind of line in the sand as far as like who will you continue to support, when it's clear that moral compass is just non-existent.
Interesting, because Joe Rogan used the exact same figure of speech. He drew a line.
Yeah, I think I stole it from Joe Rogan.
Regarding the Epstein stuff.
It's true. I mean, I do tend to agree that we are at a tipping point. How far is too far? It becomes the question.
Right.
And to the quote that you mentioned from the law enforcement person, how far is God's forgiveness? How far does it stretch? And is this beyond that limit?
And what will you as the public allow, right? Your Overton window of evil. Does it shift? Is it absolute? I think we've got a lot of work to do on this, and I can tell this resonates with all of us. So thank you for letting me share these stories, guys, disturbing as they may be. We don't have time to get to another story that we do want to mention. It's flown under the radar a bit. Missionaries have been discovered using secret audio devices to evangelize isolated indigenous communities in Brazil. They're literally hiding speakers that are just emanating biblical passages.
It's like ghost tape type stuff. Are they trying to like convince them like that there are spirits or something? Or is this just about repetition, propaganda? I'm confused about the methodology.
It's propaganda, right? And there's a interesting argument over whether or not all proselytizing religion is propaganda. But if you want to learn more about that, folks, please check out an excellent article from The Guardian. That's a good primer for this. This was written by John Reed and Daniel Biasetto over in Brazil. Do check it out. I think we should also do an episode on uncontacted tribes, which are often misrepresented in various Western explorations. That's it. I yield my time. I know we ran a little bit long, but we had some points we had to get to and some important conversation. We're going to pause for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more strange news.
And we're back with strange news. This is one that I didn't have time to get to the other week. I think it's a worthwhile discussion on its own. Thai woman arrested for blackmailing monks with thousands of videos after sex. That comes from the BBC's Jiraporn Shirham and Ko Awe. Police in Thailand have arrested a woman who allegedly had sexual relations with Buddhist monks and then used photos and videos to extort them. She is being referred to as Ms. Golf by police and is alleged to have had sex with at least 9 monks and received around 385 million baht, or $11.9 million, 8.8 million pounds over the course of 3 years. And this arrest took place last week. Investigators searched her home and found more than 80,000 photos and videos that were used to blackmail the monks, spokesman said. So, okay, this is one of a handful of scandals that have rocked Thailand's Buddhist institution, which over the last decade or so has been the subject of numerous allegations of monks engaging with sex and drug trafficking. Okay, the drug trafficking thing is its own issue. I do think it's interesting that these individuals who are, have taken a vow of celibacy, it would appear that they're participating in consensual sex between adults, heterosexual sex with a person of age. So this is not in the same ballpark, I would argue, as, scandals rocking the Catholic Church, where, of course, a lot of these scandals involve sex with minors and, coercive sex and extreme levels of abuse. So it does kind of become a question about the nature of these types of vows and, what leads to the ability for someone to do this kind of blackmail. And obviously this is a cultural thing. This is a matter of, the people of Thailand and their trust in these institutions and their and judgments around individuals who claim to be a part of this type of religious order and then go back on their vows. But it would also appear that no crime has been committed by these monks. The crime that is being committed, of course, is by this woman who has engaged in significant extortion and blackmail of these folks. I don't know. Maybe let's start with there. And again, I'm not trying to do any kind of necessarily critique of the religious vow of celibacy and the concept of it, but it's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because look, we have to, I appreciate you establishing from the jump here that there is a marked difference between the way those vows are treated in monasticism in Buddhism versus monasticism in, say, the Catholic institution. In general, Buddhist monks are expected to be celibate and are expected not to marry, but it kind of varies from place to place, like how there are some Muslim populations, especially in the Stands or Eurasia, who clearly follow Islam, but will drink vodka, that kind of stuff, right? It's not a uniform rollout. And as we know, those of us who have had experience with Thai Buddhism here in the States or abroad, I got to tell you, sometimes there are Buddhist monks from Thailand who travel internationally and get a little amorous, and it's a huge scandal. So to your point there, Noel, it's clearly a reputation that cannot be repaired. And that's why this extortion grift is working so well. The seduction, the exposure, the threat, right, of violating your vows, even if you ordinarily didn't always practice them, it can force you to leave the wat or the position of being a monk.
It's such a strange concept to me, this idea of
denying.
In order to be closer to whatever deity that we worship, you have to deny one of the, if not the primary function that your biological body has, which is to mate and continue to have more of yourself, which is like one of the reasons that it is the primary reason that any biological creature exists that reproduces with sexual reproduction, right? If you look from an evolutionary standpoint, that is what creatures do. Like I was just fighting a wasp infestation in my attic, and the whole reason that the mother wasp creates that specific type of nest and then fills it with spiders is so that the babies can eat their way out and have sustenance to then become a wasp and do the same thing. And just the control mechanism of telling somebody from high above, hey, if you want to be a part of this thing, you can't have sex ever. Not once. You're not allowed to have sex.
I can kick a little bit of historical context for this if we want.
We can,
in Catholicism and in Buddhism. Yeah. Oh, also, Wasp, thank you for figs. Nice one, guys.
Weird, right? Also weird.
Oh, it's so weird. So many weird things.
And just like the way flowers look sexy, to attract certain insects.
Oh, yeah.
Adaptation's a hell of a drug.
Right? Oh, my gosh. Now I'm picturing landing on an alien planet with the aliens there already keyed into humans and all their foibles and just making their own version of flowers.
Yep.
That look like sexy humans.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I got to write that down.
And then we get stuck in them.
Yeah. So, okay. Historical context in the Catholic sense, in the Western sense, the idea of celibacy, however it's packaged, is also very much a political mechanism. Like Matt said, a control mechanism, because we have to remember the way inheritance worked in a lot of powerful families was that one kid got all the toys in the land. And if there was another kid, that kid better like God. And that kid would be put in a situation where they would not be allowed to reproduce and create a threat or divide the lineage.
Get ye to a nunnery.
Right. So that's a big part of why, just practically, like God and spirituality, I don't mean to sound dismissive, but all the highfalutin stuff aside, that is the practical reason.
Well, and I was going to say, too, a lot of these types of things feel like remnants from a bygone era where they, at the time, had some function within society, but now they don't anymore, and they're being held on to exclusively for these reasons of control, or just like blind adherence to tradition.
Yeah.
Legacy is a hell of a drug.
Absolutely. No, and again, I'm not trying to. It's interesting. The president of Thailand, king of Thailand, rather, excuse me, Vajiralongkorn, revoked a royal command that he'd issued in June, which conferred higher titles to 81 monks. So he basically demoted them, saying that recent cases of misconduct have caused Buddhists to suffer greatly in their minds. Again, this BBC article points out that more than 90% of the population of Thailand identify as Buddhists. Monks are looked at with the highest levels of reverence, and many Thai men actually temporarily become ordained in order to accumulate good karma.
Yes, that is true. Actually, it's kind of like how, in some countries you are required to do a couple years of military service. Like it's just part of your citizenship or existence. There is in differing forms of Buddhism, and we're not experts, there is a requirement to serve with a Wat or serve with a monastic order in some way for a contained amount of time. It's a very much a real thing. Like my girlfriend's dad is talking about it now. Like he might be required to go be a monk for a minute. I mean, it's longer than a minute. I just like the alliteration. Monk for a minute.
Oh, no, I like it too, Ben. And last thing from me, the religious order, the Buddhist, order is governed by a kind of a board almost that is called the Sangha Supreme Council. And it is claiming to be in the process of forming a special committee to review monastic regulations, which is interesting because it doesn't necessarily say that they're looking into these cases of misconduct, that they're looking into maybe that they need to tweak the regulations a little bit.
I love it. A holy version of jury nullification.
Yeah, right. It does read that way a little bit. I'm not crazy. Okay.
It does read that way a little bit. It does. I agree.
I want to say some more things, but I don't know if I'm going to say them right, guys. So I'm going to I'm stuck here now in this concept of just withholding this from an institutional place. Right. Like I feel like it's so universal. If you're of age and you have, been sexual one time, even if that's just with yourself, right? Once you know that feeling, once you know that sensation, and then once you have a partner, no matter who that partner is, no matter what the purposes of the sexual interaction you're having is, whether it's to have kids or even if you cannot have kids with the type of sexual interactions you're having, that thing inside you is the same. It's a biological urge thing that's inside you, right? That feel that you get from interactions like that, the comfort that you get with, especially when you have somebody else that's around you, because we talked about it before, the chemicals that get released, all the stuff that keeps couples together, all that stuff, it's all positive things that end up happening in your body when you have something like that, and it's consensual, and it's of people who are adults and all that stuff. It's so strange to me to make that the thing.
Well, and it also kind of implies this sort of view of sex as something impure, like going against that biological imperative. Like you would think that the highest, most revered among us in a society would be the ones we wanted to reproduce the most. Right. But instead we deprive them of that for whatever reason, and it creates all of these opportunities for scandal. I just don't understand that view, because it seems to, even like in Catholicism, like with priests and stuff, there is this inherent view of sexual conduct as bad.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
Why?
Well, it's a way to control
yet Catholics
people.
Want you to reproduce. I just don't understand. There's this disconnect.
I want you to reproduce in a narrowly defined scope, right? A very narrow, highly regulated field of play, marriage. Right. And sex for the purpose of reproduction, not recreation. I feel like everybody who's unfamiliar with this concept, if there are a few of us left, should check out our previous episodes on how cults are formed. Mm-hmm. Right. And how these organizations do say, look, but don't touch, but don't taste. Now I'm quoting Devil's Advocate. I love that.
But that's a different movie. That's a different.
But then there's somebody at the top who's having their fill, and just like, yeah, but you can't.
The Medici popes?
Dude.
Those guys were wild. It was Panama City, spring break, the entirety of their run.
Kinky potties.
Yeah, well, it goes back, right, to ancient religious orders. You think about what was going down in Rome and Greece, and just take it back to the ancient empires. Like
The Bacchae.
Especially religious leaders.
Yeah.
Sure. Requisite castration and so on.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then just... I think about the studies that have done with children, and specifically the one where you get 2 marshmallows if you can leave that one there and withhold.
Right.
But most of the kids, especially American kids, ate that first marshmallow because it's just difficult to control something weird, especially when, for some reason, humans, when you're told you can't do something, you're not supposed to do something, there's some urge within a lot of us that says, I need to do that thing.
Give me it.
Right?
Thank you, DARE program. Thanks, guys.
But it's so deep in there. I don't know what I don't know.
Well, it's reptile brain stuff. I mean, and again, a lot of these things, we know even those adaptations of the animal urges and drives and survival instincts, we've kind of outlived their usefulness in the way they were originally designed. So we kind of have to fill those things with other stuff. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that's
because you're not in very few cases are you removing the urge, even if you physically prevent the consummation of that urge. I would look also toward the Ottoman Empire, right, which had an entire system of institutionalized castration. The eunuchs, right, the Kisler Aga, for instance, the white eunuch, the black eunuch, it's not a racial thing. It's their role in the harem. And they channeled this, you could argue, I've talked with too many folks about this, but you could argue that those folks who were without their consent, deprived of what would have been their normal sexual activity, they sought other things out. And that's part of why this specific part of the Ottoman Empire became such a powerful institution, right? Look, if someone is possessed by virtue of their existence, of their natural inclinations that do not harm other people, that's the important part, that do not harm other people, that are, as Noel said, consensual, then when you prevent those people from existing the way they would have normally, right, then there is always going to be an almost Newtonian response. There is going to be an equal and opposite reaction to that action foisted upon them. I yield my time. Sorry. I was feeling
and I think that's why we see so much abuse in the church, in the Catholic Church. It's that equal and opposite reaction to deprivation, which a lot of times it gets complicated because things like guilt get figured into it, and it becomes psychologically rife, or fraught rather.
Yeah, well, you're also forcefully sexualizing children, right? Who then grow up to be adults, and then that is the way that they were sexualized.
It's legacy stuff.
So it make. I don't know if you guys saw some of the stories coming out of BBC on this place called Rotherham.
No.
It's a place where grooming gangs, have been active since the mid 90s. And again, so it's not just churches. It's not just all these things. It's abuse of this type where they start the children very young, these gangs do, but then the South Yorkshire police, at least according to many investigations that have been ongoing for decades, are showing that it was the police as well, because they could, individuals within some of that department could make use of the way the children were already groomed. And
exactly.
And it makes you really identify with Marty Hart from True Detective Season 1, and it makes you wish that some of these folks could just get the Ledoux treatment, because dang, that just shouldn't be allowed to exist.
5 survivors of Rotherham grooming gangs say they were also raped by police officers. This came out today.
Yeah.
This is news to me.
I remember reading some of that last night.
This is in the UK.
Yeah, the issue
Yorkshire
here
area
too is that it calls into question all of the other public statements from people in the United Kingdom that did trend to be clear, they did trend towards xenophobic and Islamophobic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there were, when there is smoke, you should look and see whether there is a fire. There is a non-zero chance that at least some members, some factions of UK law enforcement were being opportunistic predators and were hiding or slow-footing, if I can make that word up, an investigation that should have occurred. I don't know, man. I'm just going to say it. Look, British friends, love you to pieces, love you to bits. There's some stuff going on in that archipelago, and it just keeps getting covered up.
Yeah, stuff going on everywhere for sure, though, Ben. And I'll just add the last little detail from an AP piece on this scandal. Williwan Msawat is her name. In her mid-30s, was arrested at her home north of Bangkok. She's being charged with extortion, money laundering, and receiving stolen goods. And police traced money transferred to her by a senior monk from a bank account belonging to his temple in northern Thailand. So this is from last week. No updates as of yet. But yeah, good conversation, y'all. It's dark stuff, but I had a feeling it would go in some of these directions. So I'm glad we got to it. Let's take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then return with another piece of strange news.
All right, we've returned. Let's
Dark stuff today.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
Not on purpose. Sometimes it just be like that.
Be like that. Well, this is not going to get any brighter, really. Besides one explosion perhaps. That will be bright.
Okay. Yeah. And then it gets a little dimmer.
Yeah. There we go.
Immediately.
Sorry. Okay. Let's jump to.
It's always darkest before the grenade explosion.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, that's right. Let's jump to The Guardian. We're going to go through some reporting from them and then jump to ABC and a couple other places. We're following an ongoing story here that is occurring in Los Angeles County, Los Angeles, California, here in the States. So the first report came out on July 18th. Explosion at Los Angeles law enforcement training facility kills 3 people. I'm going to read directly from this article here. The news, as it came out, reported that an explosion at a training facility in Los Angeles killed 3 human beings who were with the county's sheriff's department, and it was the largest loss of life the agency has seen since 1857, when 4 officers were killed by gunfire. The 3 deputies who were killed were members of the sheriff department's arson explosives detail. So immediately, it sounds as though three men were killed in explosion while they were working on some kind of explosives project, right? We don't know more than that. That was all according to Robert Luna, who's the acting Los Angeles County Sheriff. The incident took place shortly after 7 a.m. on Friday, July 18th. The explosion occurred at the department's Special Enforcement Bureau in the arson explosives detail facility in the parking lot. There is where it appears to have occurred, at least initially, from the helicopter footage that was able to be captured by, NBC and some of the local affiliates there.
So to be clear, not in some kind of previously established training ground.
Yes. Like getting to the facility where you would have stuff like that, right?
Copy.
So it appears that there were explosives possibly in transit. It was a parking lot filled with patrol cars, box trucks, things like that. The bomb squad of the Los Angeles Police Department responded to the scene to render the devices safe, whatever, if there were any other devices and what was occurring. And that task took a little over 4 hours. The FBI and the ATF were also there, assisting in the investigation, basically to figure out what the heck happened. And in that moment, at this time on July 18th, there wasn't any other information. The investigators at that time didn't think there was any threat to anybody. They didn't believe that someone, blew up the car that held those people. They didn't believe that it was an attack. They just thought, okay, something terrible has happened. These guys are involved with explosives. Let's find out what that thing is. Then we jump to, after there was some more information that started to come out after that time over the course of a week, But a little less than 10 days later, on July 26th, The Guardian also reported, and I'm using The Guardian, by the way, because it's not one of the primary U.S. news outlets on purpose, because generally these places will take a more filtered approach to news that's coming out, or directly from whatever department is, making a public statement.
And uncritically from that department.
Just objective. Here's what happened. So let's go to that. The title is Grenade Missing from Scene of Blast That Killed 3 LA Police Officers. So here's where it gets a little strange. I'm just going to read again directly from The Guardian here. Going back to Sheriff Luna here. He said that the 3 men were working on 2, quote, military style, unquote, grenades when one detonated. The other is unaccounted for. And that's according to the ATF, who is directly investigating the blast now at this point. Sheriff Luna also said that authorities have X-rayed Special Enforcement Bureau vehicles. They've searched the entire blast area. They've examined office spaces, the gym that's located there. They have not found anywhere this second potentially deadly grenade that's out there. Here's why it's important. These 2 grenades that were seized at some apartment complex, like a townhome complex in Santa Monica, a day before the explosion occurred on the 17th, he said that they X-rayed the devices themselves, and everybody involved believed that these devices were inert, meaning they cannot explode on their own. They are not going to explode, likely, even if, with a grenade situation, if you have a pull pin or something that would strike the thing that would cause the grenade to explode, or cause the fuse at least to be lit. They said, according to their findings, these are the guys who are the explosives experts, by the way. They say these things are good to go. We can move them, right? And that's all they were doing. They were moving them after they got examined. The devices were taken to be, quote, destroyed and rendered safe at that specific facility in the parking lot where they exploded. It was not known at that time if the grenades had any connection to the military, though they were military-style grenades. At least that's what they're reporting.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, what type of grenade? Because we know military style can be somewhat of an umbrella term.
Yeah,
kind of like saying the assailant had a long gun.
Yeah. Well, which military, right? Because each country's military uses different types of grenades. Some of them are similar, some of them so different. So, and some grenades are explosives. And as you stated there, Ben, some grenades have a different kind of yield, a different kind of thing that happens when they explode.
Frag grenades, or fragmentation, I should say. Can't assume everybody knows that one, but concussion, but in this case, it's definitely not just like a smoke grenade, because 3 people are dead.
Yeah, this was some type of fragmentation grenade, explosive grenade. And again, when you say military style, there's so many different types of even a frag grenade that have been used by the U.S. military over the years. And who knows? But it was something like that, and it was found in that place, right? So probably a place in a townhome where you shouldn't have grenades.
Yeah. I don't think they ran that past the landlord.
But some people do collect military memorabilia and things like that, with like an inert grenade or a grenade that doesn't actually have any explosives in it, but it's the shell of a grenade. Some people collect that kind of stuff, and whatever, that's fine. I think some people even collect the other stuff, just not on the level, let's say.
And it's very easy to mistake something for inert if you're not an expert. Just like you should always treat any gun, even a gun at a museum that has its barrel filled with lead, any gun should be treated as actively loaded, safety off. Even if you just check the safety, any explosive device, no matter how fun and cool the museum looks, should be treated as though it can go off.
Yep. And again, these individuals, the 3 men killed, Detective Eklund had 19 years of experience. Detective Lemus had 22 years of experience, and Detective Osborne had 33 years of experience in that sheriff's department. And they were explosives arson experts, and they used very sensitive, specialized equipment to make sure these things were safe. And then they went off, and then a grenade is missing. That's why it makes you think maybe something else is at play here. Maybe something else happened. Maybe just something we don't understand occurred, right? Especially as an ATF agent who's third party coming in to investigate a scene like that. There are so many unknowns at that point of how the heck did this happen, and why is the other one gone?
Yeah, and this is not a situation where, for instance, the two explosive devices could be close enough together that one is just obliterated. You would still be able to find fragments of it if that occurred.
Yeah, theoretically, that's part of a fragmentation grenade, right? That's one of the things it does. The specially designed ones you've probably seen in video games or movies that have the little ridges around them. That's because those ridges fragment and become the weapon.
Shrapnel.
Yeah. And specialists with the ATF and the FBI would be able to easily, ascertain if there's enough material to constitute two explosives, right? It's just creepy.
Yeah. I'm picking up what we're putting down here because the question is the missing grenade. Matt, some of the reporting you shared tells us that the devices were originally discovered after a tenant had left, a previous tenant who may have been in the U.S. military. But let's say the quiet part out loud. We have questions until that other grenade is found. There is a non-zero possibility that there might have been something more than an accident at play, especially given the decades and decades of experience these LEOs had.
Yeah. So maybe you're listening to this and you're in the Los Angeles County area. Just quickly, you're probably following this already, but Sheriff Luna and Kenny Cooper, who's a special agent in charge there at the ATF, said, hey, if you do see something that you think maybe could possibly be a grenade, whatever you do, do not touch the dang thing and call somebody.
My God. Those poor kids. LA is already stressed out, right?
Yeah.
With the huge earthquake, the not uncommon natural disasters. Imagine being one of those kids in the LA area. You wake up, you have to go to school or do your kid stuff, and then your parents go, okay, I want to be straight with you, Tyler. This is what a grenade is. If you see something that looks like, I know you got a lot going on, bud, but if you see something that looks like this, run away.
Yeah. Well, and if you're a kid and you see something like that, your curiosity gets piqued, and that's something that we've all got. And
this is the thing Dad told me to look out for and not mess with.
Well, yeah. Well, especially if you don't get warned, like, oh, dude, what is that, a grenade? Because all these kids are playing
Call of Duty,
Fortnite.
Yeah.
All of them have grenades in them. This is a hope that everybody is very careful. And whoever it was in Marina Del Rey. Sorry, too much SNL.
You had to do it.
I love it.
Just whoever that is, I hope that person is being talked to and come forward just to have an understanding of what's going on. And hopefully, there's not somebody out there that's got one of these things that wants to use it for one reason or another.
Could I really quickly just say, without going too into it, because the news is out there and it is what it is. How crazy is it that it didn't even make the cut today that there was another mass shooting in an office building in Midtown Manhattan?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's just crazy that I'm not casting aspersions at any of the three of us. It literally just occurred to me that is the level of business as usual that kind of thing has become.
Well, yeah, we're also not going to talk about the Reno shooting at the casino where the man's paced back and forth for 45 minutes and was observed doing so before he got his gun out and went up to the valet area and started shooting people.
And we had one line at best about the situation in Thailand and Cambodia, and then one line maybe about the huge earthquake that's sending tsunamis across the ocean. It's a lot of stuff. Yeah. And that's why this is a continuing mission for us. And I couldn't be happier for us to have teamed up together on these things, even in the darkest of times.
No question. It keeps me sane. I love you guys. I mean,
We love you too, man.
I like both of no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I love you all.
Say it.
Oh, Dylan, yay!
I thought Dylan was going to hit us with that cold wind of a relationship talk, where Dylan was going to pause and go, "You're great, guys. You have such personalities." Sorry, we're derailing. Matt.
Speaking of cold wind, back in 2023, roughly 2 years ago, Ben, I think you brought to the table a story about a weird concept that the White House had of like, maybe we should study blocking out the sun with some stuff, Matrix style. Let's do it, guys.
Do it, cowards.
Well, we had some updates from that. That original reporting, at least that I had seen, came from Politico, from one Corbin Hayar, Hiar. Again, that was July 1st, 2023 when that came out. You can look it up. The title of the article is "White House Cautiously Opens the Door to Study Blocking Sun's Rays to Slow Global Warming."
I want my Venmo to go towards that project. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care how you rationalize it, guys. Just make it happen.
Okay, that's good.
Sun sucks. We're on record saying
It insists upon itself.
The yellow sun just insists upon itself.
So I'm so glad to hear, and I think all our fellow damp here are happy to hear that the project may be moving forward.
Well, and maybe, is it a good thing? I don't know. Seems like maybe the worst thing, but also great. Corbin is back, though, and in Politico, he's writing again, now July 27th, 2025. You can read this article. Researchers quietly planned a test to dim sunlight. They wanted to, quote, avoid scaring the public. And it goes into deep, full detail of the backing of some of this stuff, the billionaire money that was coming in, the government money that was coming in, and this basically a really quiet attempt to see in this little spot over the ocean right near Puerto Rico to see if they could actually do this thing and then to maybe unleash it on all of us.
Okay, unleash is editorial.
It is.
I caught you on that one.
Lex Luthor-ish.
It is, but we're talking about blotting out the sun, guys.
Yeah, that's some Lex Luthor right there.
It's the army you have. You know what I mean? Let's figure it out. No,
guys, is it Luthor or Luthor to you? Just asking for a friend.
Ooh, Lex Luthor.
I would go with Luthor, but I'm.
They change it depending on the movie and the whatever.
Well, it's kind of like how we would say "sure" versus "sure," or how we would say "fur" versus "for." Sorry that we've just gotten everybody's head with that.
Luthor just sounds more like He-Man-esque, more extreme. Sorry about derailing it again.
Or Kal-El. Right?
Yes.
The cadence makes sense. So, there are always wild drawing board projects like this. This one feels a little bit different.
Well, because it was a real test. They actually tried to do it, and then it got shut down because they didn't give enough warning. And all they did was they told the New York Times, like a PR thing. They're like, "Hey, New York Times, we're going to blow out the sun a little bit, see if it works. All right, hope you guys are good." And then the local authorities said, "Hey, you didn't say that. You didn't say
guys,
that's what you're doing."
CC'd on this email. This should have been a wider conversation. Speaking of consent. Oh, geez.
Anyway, check out those articles. It might be worth a full episode from us at some point just to really go over what they were planning and could that actually work? And do we want to do that? And that's it for me.
And our mission continues, folks. Thank you, as always, so much for tuning in. We want to hear your thoughts on these and all the other stories. We do also want to point out something we didn't get to. Our own fellow Atlanta resident, Julian Brown, and the conversation about plastoline, his term. And we're going to get to that maybe in the next few weeks. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. Tell us your thoughts. You can find us in an email. You can find us via telephonic code. You can also find us on the lines.
Correct. You can find us at The Handle Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist on Facebook with our Facebook group. Here's where it gets crazy: on X, FKA, Twitter, and on YouTube, where we have videos for your perusing enjoyment. On Instagram and TikTok, on the other hand, we are Conspiracy Stuff Show, and there's more.
Oh, yes, we have a phone number. It is 1-833-STDWYTK. It's a voicemail system. When you call in, give yourself a cool nickname and let us know within the message if we can use your name and message on the air. If you've got links, maybe the hyper kind, maybe you've got attachments of kitty cats or something that will lift all of our spirits, why not instead send us a good old-fashioned email? We are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back, and yes, we do know about Shaolin Temple CEO Monk, speaking of violations of holy folks, is being probed for cartoonish embezzlement, may have had a lot of kids, like a Genghis Khan level lot of kids.
Ooh, good call, Ben. Did not catch that. That's interesting in and of itself.
We're going to get back with that and more strange news. Join us out here in the dark. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.